Hello everybody, I'm Mads and welcome to my channel, Mads is Reading. Today I'm going to be kind of doing two videos in one, and that is my June reading wrap up and the mid-year book freakout tag that's been going around everywhere lately. So, are you excited? Because I'm excited. First off, I want to say how great of a reading month June was for me. I have read so many books this month, and a part of it might be because three of them were ebooks, and I've discovered that I read ebooks a lot faster than I read normal books, but it's fine. So I end up reading 7 books in June, which matches January for the most books I've read this year. So I am just very proud of myself for being able to read this many books in one month, especially when I am working all day and being exhausted when I get home. It's just, I'm doing amazing, guys. My first read of June was The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I read this book online and it was okay. I mainly read it because of how hyped it is, and I am glad I read it. I am glad I'm reading the series. It's just not as good as people make it out to be, I think. I ended up rating it a 3 stars. It's a solid book. It's not bad. It's just maybe not for me. I think it's just not for me, and that's okay. My second read of June was hold on. My second read of June was The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I adored this book. It was just so cute and so wholesome. I just I can't with how cute this book is. It is about this social worker who comes to inspect this orphanage, which is top secret and full of these top secret people and kids. And his goal going there is to find out if the orphanage needs to close or stay open. And he ends up just falling in love with the place and creating this family for himself. It is the ultimate found family, cozy fantasy queer read. I adore this book so much, and I am very glad that I read this. It was by far my favorite read of June, and a very obvious 5-star read for me. It's just so cute, guys. Like, I can't, and I'm very sad that I don't get any more of them. Like, I want more of them, but this is a standalone, and that is one of the most depressing things ever. So I can't get more of them. I honestly don't even need a plot, okay? I just want them. My third read of June was She Gets the Girl by Rachel Lippincott and Allison Derrick. Fun fact about these authors is that they're actually married to each other. I found them on TikTok like a really long time ago, and I knew that I had to read one of their books because that's just so cute. I believe they met in an English class and ended up falling in love and writing a book together. Multiple books together, actually. I think they have multiple together, and that is just the cutest thing ever. It was a very cute read. It is about this girl, Molly, who is trying to get her longtime crush to fall in love with her while also going to college and kind of living a different life than she did in high school because she didn't really get out much in high school and she wants that to change. And Molly is so me for that. Oh my gosh. And then we have Alex, who is trying to get her girlfriend back and trying to prove herself to her. She thinks that she can prove herself to her by helping this girl Molly get with this girl that she's in love with. And what do but fall in love? It was a perfect read for those who are new to college and trying to find themselves. It was just such a wholesome sapphic read. It is YA contemporary sapphic romance, and I just loved it. I rated it 4.5 stars. It was very close to a 5-star, but I think it was just missing something for me. And honestly, that happens, but I will be recommending this book to people, especially if you do want a sapphic romance. It was so cute, and Molly and Alex are just so cute together, and it really does have a friends to lovers arc. Like, kind of like annoyance to friends to lovers. And I think that is a great arc. I think it's just perfect, and the chemistry was there. My fourth book of the year was The Throne of Fire by Rick Riordan. I originally rated this one 4 stars, but now that I think about it, I think it was more of a 3.5-star read. This book was very good. I love learning about the Egyptian mythology, and I've learned that Egyptian mythology is weird. It's just so weird. And there are definitely a couple things in the series that just threw me off, and I know it was just staying true to the Egyptian mythology, but it was just it was just weird. It kind of made me uncomfortable sometimes with just like the things that happened. And I feel like if you've read this book series, you might know what I'm talking about. And it mainly happens in the third book, which I also read this month. This series follows these two siblings who find out that they are of a pharaoh bloodline from both their mom and their dad's sides, and that they are Egyptian magicians. That sounds cool. Egyptian magicians, and they kind of have to save the world. And it is very Rick Riordan finding out that you have this connection to mythology and then saving the world. That's basically all of his books, and I love him for it. I did love the characters. The characters were just amazing and they're just so entertaining. Sadie and Carter definitely had a great sibling dynamic. You can tell that they're siblings, they bicker, they tease each other, but in the end, they care about each other. And I loved it, and I loved the aspect of it. I think there was some chemistry missing in this book, and I don't know, there are a couple things that were just kind of a miss for me, but that's okay. I do like the way it ended with the Serpent Shadow. I really did like how it ended, and it had a very good closure to it, as well as kind of leaving it open for another book if Rick wants to write another one. And I love that. So I think both of the books are a solid 3.5 stars. So I do have to kind of go back and change my rating for them. And that's okay. It happens. You can go back and change ratings if you want to. That is my rule. That was kind of my fourth and sixth read. My fifth read was So This Is Ever After by F.T. Lukens. I binged this book. I finished it in like a weekend. I was kind of traveling that weekend, and I just, every second I was in the car, I was binging this, and I loved it. And I was so sad when it ended because it was just so cute. It very much gives D&D vibes. It's like D&D after the campaign. And I just think that was so fun. It follows this main character, what's his name? Eric. It follows this main character, Eric, who just completed his prophecy as the Chosen One and has killed the Vile One, and now has to take over as king for this kingdom, which he did not sign up for. So he's kind of freaking out basically this entire book. And he finds out that he needs to get married or he's gonna die, but he's also in love with his childhood best friend, and he wants to choose him, but he feel like he can't. There's a lot of miscommunication in this one. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. There is a lot of miscommunication in this one, and I typically don't like that. And I think at sometimes it irked me, but I think for this one, it just made the ending better. And I don't know why, but I liked the miscommunication in this one, and I kind of hate myself for saying that, but it's true. The main couple were just so cute. They've created their own little family with this group that went with them to complete this prophecy, and now they're all like the rulers of the kingdom, and it's just so good. I could honestly read another book of this, of them ruling, and I just loved them. The fan family was just it for me, and I loved it. It was a solid 5-star read. At first, I was kind of thrown off because it is kind of weird in the beginning, and I think it takes some getting used to kind of Lucan's writing style. But once you do, you like really get into it, and I started binging it. And there were a couple moments where I was kind of like thrown off because it was kind of like weird. But I think the ending made up for it, and I think the found family made up for it. And I understand if this book is not for everybody. Honestly, I do. But it was for me, and I love it for that. My last read of the month was Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. I think this one had a little bit more chemistry to it than the fine printed, but Declan kind of sucked. Like, he just kind of was a horrible human being. But I did really love Iris, and Iris was kind of just, I really wanted to give Iris a hug during half of it. She just went through a lot, and I feel really bad for her. And it was also the first marriage of convenience book that I've ever read, and I honestly love that for me. It wasn't bad. I liked it. Probably not my favorite trope. I'm not gonna seek it out in the future, but I didn't mind it. It was a solid 3-star. Once again, I think it's not for everybody, and it definitely wasn't for me. I just don't think the chemistry was all the way there. I think the most chemistry that was in the book was between Iris and Cal's friendship. And I love that. Honestly, I am all for friendship chemistry, but if it's a romance book, the main couple needs to have the chemistry, like the chemistry, and this just didn't have that. I can't wait for the next book though. I know it's not everybody's favorite, so I'm kind of worried in that aspect, but I also just adore Cal. And I don't like second chance romances, which I believe the third one is, but I'm gonna give it a try just for Cal and just to finish up the series. I have found out that I like reading overhyped books, so that's always fun. 7 books in a month. amazing for me. Can I just tell you, amazing for me. I have spent so much of my time just sitting down and reading, and I love that for me so much. Okay, now I'm just gonna kind of speed run my July TBR. First off, I've already finished a book this July. I know, go me. I finished Beach Read by Emily Henry. I will dive into it for my July recap. I started it in June and didn't finish it until yesterday. I was really trying to finish it for June, but I just couldn't, and that's okay. And mainly that's because I was annotating, and annotating kind of takes me a while. If I wasn't annotating it, I probably would have been able to count it for June, but that's okay. And then I've already started reading Magnus Chase in the Sword of Summer. Actually, this is a library book because I don't have the series, even though it is my goal to one day own all of Rick Riordan's books, and it will happen for me. I am really looking forward to reading this book. I want to see how many of these books I can get to in this month. My guess is I'm probably just going to get through the first two, and that's okay. This one actually is a lot longer than I was expecting, so we'll just see how this goes. I might end up finishing the series in August, and I would be okay with that. Next up, I have two books for two different book clubs I'm in. I know, I'm in two different book clubs, technically three. I should probably stop joining them, but I just can't. I actually made a book club, and it is the Found Family Book Club. We are on Fable. If you want to check us out, let me know if you want the link to it. Every month we choose a book that has the Found Family trope in it, and we read it. And it's just me spreading my love for Found Family books and just getting people to read them. And with almost like a unanimous decision, we decided to do Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I'm not very aware of the Found Family in this book. I'm very much looking forward to this. Nonetheless, even if the Found Family isn't what I want it to be, I am looking forward to this. I'm also terrified because I don't know. It just seems very daunting, but it just looks so good, and I can't wait to read it. This book was gifted to me. Actually, the duology box set was gifted to me from Mel and Jackie. They have two podcasts. One of them, they talk about books and the movie adaptations, and another one they just talk about, I believe, popular spicy books, I think. But they're very cute, and I love those two so much, and I love them even more for getting me these two books. So thank you if you're watching this. I love you. Also, I am planning on reading Rock Paper Scissors. I don't know the author. I don't know the author. Hold on. By Alice Feeney. It is another book club pick. It is the Bookish Fairies, run by my girl Melody. I adore you, and I know you have your notifications on for this, so Mel, I love you. She created this book club, and I honestly love it. This month's book is Rock, Paper, Scissors, and honestly, definitely not a book that I would have chosen for myself. But I am very excited for it, and I've heard good things. I also plan on reading Terms and Conditions, right? Yeah, no. The Final Offer. I plan on reading The Final Offer by Lauren Asher as well. That one will probably be ebook. Rock, Paper, Scissors will also probably be ebook if I can get it. It's like a 4-week wait on Libby right now, and I put it on hold on my local library, but we'll see. So I plan on finishing up the Dreamland Billionaire series this month, and it's a ebook, so that one will go by pretty quick. I also want to get to Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber because Elsa and Alyssa, I have been being pressured by them to read this for a very long time. And I'm probably gonna get it. My dad actually bought me the copy because he's an angel. I'm very much looking forward to this. Also kind of scared that it's not gonna live up to the hype though. So I really want to like this. I really want to like it. So we'll see how well that goes for me. And then the kind of final book I have on my July TBR is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. I have been planning to reread this book for so long, and now it is finally time. This one may actually not be during July. This may end up being early August, but we'll kind of see where it goes. I know I was originally planning on annotating it as I reread it, but I decided I don't want to do that anymore. I kind of just want to like sit back and enjoy it. I am going to buddy read it with Elsa though, and so that means I'm going to be reading it and then she's going to finish it in like 2 days, and then I'm going to catch up to her because that's how our budding reading goes. So yes, that is my speed rushed July TBR. This one actually is a to be read and not just hopefuls because I do kind of like need to get to all of these books in this month. So I'm very proud of myself actually setting a TBR list. We will see if I actually stick to it. Okay, now for the really fun part, we have the mid-year book freakout tag. I am really looking forward to doing this. Okay, so I have read 30 books this year out of my goal, which is 47, and I know 47 is a weird goal. It's kind of an odd number to have, but it's because I read 45 last year and had like just barely reached it, but I wanted to kind of challenge myself a little bit more, but 50 seemed too daunting. So I did 47. I honestly think I will reach 50 this year, and I am so happy for that. I have read 30 books out of 47 this year. I believe I am 6 or 7 books ahead schedule. I love this for me. I am doing amazing. My most read genre is technically young adults, but I don't really consider that a genre. I more consider that as like an age grouping. So after young adults, my next one is fantasy, which kind of surprises me, not gonna lie. I am much more of a dystopian girly than fantasy, but I have been reading quite a bit of fantasy this year. So fantasy is my number one genre, and then we have romance and then LGBTQIA, which that seems on point. Some more of my stats for 2023 so far is my moods. My number one mood by a whopping 17 out of 30 is adventurous. And that honestly checks out because I just love adventurous books. And then next up, we have emotional, which also makes sense. And then after that, we have funny. And I feel like those all three make a lot of sense for the moods that I read. I have read a total of 12,904 pages. That sounds like a lot more than just 30 books, you know? Like when you break it down into how many pages you've read, I feel so much more proud of myself knowing that I've read that many pages. My main pace for books is medium. Makes sense. Most of the books that I've read is print, but a 10% of the 30 books that I've read have been digital, which is a lot more than my previous years, so I say that's progress. My most read authors, like in order, are Maggie Stiefvater, Terea Muffy, Emily Henry, Holly Jackson, Sarah J. Maas, Lauren Asher, and Rick Riordan. Two of those authors I'm only reading because of how hyped they are, and because I want to be included. I definitely think that Rick Riordan may take this year by the end. That's my prediction. I am planning on rereading like all of his books this year. My average rating is 4.16 stars, which does not surprise me. I feel like I'm pretty lenient with my like 4-star rating. So makes a lot of sense to me. My lowest rating has been a 3-star. I typically don't go under 3 stars. But I'm not gonna dive into that right now. My average rating has been 4.16. So some of my favorite books that I've read this year so far include. I should probably have these like ready to show. My bad. Okay, I'm back. Some of my favorite books that I have read this year are As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. Oh my gosh, that's what I have to say for this is oh my gosh. It really truly left me jaw on the floor and I was freaking out this entire book and I say if a book can make me feel the things that this book did, it deserves a 5 stars. This series is amazing and I really need to read Five Survive by Holly Jackson because if it is anything like this book, it is going to be an emotional roller coaster and it is going to be amazing. So I just need to get it first, which is my problem for reading a lot of books is I just need to get it first and then I don't get it because I can't afford it. So then I don't read it and then people yell at me, then I feel bad and then end up splurging and buying it and then I feel bad because I didn't have the money to splurge. It's an endless cycle, let me tell you. Anyways, my second favorite book of the year was obviously Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. I adore this book. It was amazing. The enemies to lovers, the found family, the dragons, the academy setting. Everything about this book is perfect. And I will be forever obsessed with it, so it deserves on my favorite books of 2023 so far. I only have 3 favorites, I swear, because I can't just choose one favorite, though I do have to because I started a book bracket, but it's fine, that's future me's problem. Anyways, House and Cerulean, my 3rd favorite of the year so far. This book, I already talked about it, so wholesome, just Amazing. I love this book. It's just so cute. Those three were my favorite reads of 2023. All 5 stars. All just amazing. They left me in a brain rot after, and they just have me actively obsessed with them to this day, and will probably for the rest of my life. They are also all three that I would probably reread at any given moment. I am very pleased to announce that those are my 3 favorites of the year so far. My biggest surprise for this year, probably Fourth Wing, mainly because like I started this year like not knowing anything about it because it came out this year. I started reading it because it was gifted to me, and I've heard really good things about it when I read it, but I was still surprised with how much I loved it. Like, I did not expect to get that obsessed over it, and I'm very glad that I did. So, I would say that Fourth Wing is probably one of the biggest surprises of this year. Daughter Dalloway by Emily France was also another surprise for me. I read it for a book club that I joined in the town I live in, and I loved it a lot more than I was expecting to. So, I definitely think that that was a really big surprise because it is like a historical fiction adult book, and that is not what I go for. And it just surprised me in all the best ways. And another book that surprised me, not with like me liking it, but just what happened in it, was As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. I think this book shocked everybody, and I don't think I need to dive into that. It's just very shocking. Now we have books that let me down. I feel like there's kind of a couple, and I feel bad. I will say the first 2 books of the Dreamland Billionaire series has kind of let me down, and I hate that. I think it's just because they've been so hyped up and I didn't love them as much, and so it's kind of like a little bit disappointing when you read a hyped book and end up rating it 3 stars. So I'd say that was kind of a letdown a little bit. Another one that was kind of let down was The Falling in Love montage by Kiara Smythe. I just thought I was gonna like it a lot more than I did. It was a good read. I'm not saying it's bad. I think I built it up a lot in my head. I think I told myself I was gonna like it a lot more than I actually did. Oh, also, Aurora's End by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff was kind of a letdown. I just don't think it was the best ending to this book series, and I did not love it. Especially after loving the first 2 books so much, getting to this one was just, it was a letdown. I think that is the best way to explain it. It was just kind of a letdown, and I hate that, but it happens. Next up, we have books that made me cry. This is gonna be a fun one. This book is gonna be mentioned a lot in this video, but it's As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. How could you not cry at this book? Oh my gosh. It definitely stressed me out a lot and just gave me all the emotions, and it was just, I can't explain more than that, is that it was just so emotional. I cried, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. Another one that made me cry, and I'm very not ashamed to admit this, is Fourth Wing. If you know, you know, this ending, I won't get over it. The ending left me in tears, and it was so hard. I was just in my bed crying, not pleased with a specific event that happened. And how could you not cry at that? I just got really attached to this book, so it doesn't surprise me that I cried, especially with what happened. I'm not going to spoil anything because it is still fairly new, but again, if you know, you know. And I don't think it made me full on cry, but The House in the Cerulean Sea definitely made me kind of like tear up a little bit with sadness and joy. It definitely just kind of hits you in all the right places. I don't want to give anything away, but there was this one scene in it that, you know, you kind of see coming, but it's still just like, it really just hits you in the heart. And I just definitely got a little bit teary eyed on that one. And then the ending, it was just like happy tears almost, like, because it was just so wholesome and I love. Those are the books that made me cry or tear up a little bit. I'd say they're not a lot of books that I cry over. I think that has to be a 5 star read, and I have to get really emotionally invested to cry over it, but it does happen. Now, to pick up after that sad note was books that made me happy. Some of them are in that pile. The House in the Australian Sea made me delusionally happy. I love this book. It was just so. I need to read more cozy fantasies if they make me feel this way, because why need therapy when you can have this? Fourth Wing also made me happy just because of how much I loved it. It has been a while since I got this invested to a book like this, where like the stakes are all really high. It's fantasy. The couple would like kill or die for each other, and it has been so long since I've like read a book like this that was so good. And so I think that made me happy more than the book itself did, because the book kind of made me sad. So take it as you will. I think those are like all the books that made me happy this year. I read a lot more emotional books than I kind of thought I would. I've not read that many like lighthearted books this year. My bad. I don't know what that says about me. The most beautiful book I've bought this year. This question's kind of hard because I really have not bought that many books this year. I've only really bought a handful. Out of the books I like have bought for myself, I would say The Sunbearer Trials is definitely one of the prettier ones. Definitely the prettiest book that I have bought for myself this year. I just think the cover is so pretty, and the naked cover is very just simple and gorgeous. So also looking into this, there's a book, so that makes me happy. I obviously did not look at this before buying it, but it's fine. This is definitely the prettiest book that I have bought for myself. But the prettiest book that has been gifted to me this year is by far Fourth Wing. Obviously, look at it. Just take in the glory of this book. It really is one of like the most stunning books that I own. The pages make me feel like I have a fairy loot edition of it, because I always have the really pretty pages that I want so bad. So this book just makes me feel very happy and special. I also think that Once Upon a Broken Heart is another gorgeous one, and this is one, like I said, my dad bought for me, so I did not buy it for myself. But the spine, the cover, even the back cover is just simply gorgeous. Those three are definitely probably some of the prettiest books I own overall, but definitely the prettiest ones that I've gotten this year. A new release I want to read, I wonder what it could be. It is definitely Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. I'm living for the day that book comes out, and I can't wait to read it. Can't wait to get my characters back. It's gonna be so good to be immersed in this world again. I'm very curious to see if I like it more or less than Fourth Wing. I think it could go either way, and I'm kind of worried about that, but I just am overall really looking forward to reading this. And then a new release that I want to read. I actually don't think I have a new release that I want to read. I'm sure there is, actually. I'm sure there are. I am not very good at keeping up with new releases unless I see them everywhere. They're not going to be actively in my mind. I'm really not sure what new release that I want to read. I feel like that's a bad question for me to answer, and it's probably not going to be a satisfactory answer for me. That's okay. Then we have books I want to read by the end of the year. All of them? Can I say all of them? I just want to read all my books, guys. And I know that's not possible, but kind of going into like just my July TBR a bit. Those books, all that I mentioned earlier, are ones that I want to read before the end of the year. I would love to get through all of Rick Riordan's books by the end of the year. I'm not sure I'll be able to accomplish that, but a girl can hope. The Once Upon a Broken Heart series, I would love to read before the end of the year. The Sunbearer Trials is definitely gonna be read before the end of the year. And Little Women, I do want to read that book this year and this fall. So those are kind of my priority books. I would love to get to all my books if I can. Probably can't. I feel like that's a little bit unrealistic. Once again, a girl can hope always. I think that's kind of like mainly them. I don't. The First to Die at the End, I do think that would be good for me to read before the end of the year. I just have to be emotionally ready for that. I probably won't ever be, so I just have to push myself to read that one. Dark Rise, definitely want to read Dark Rise by C.S. Packet. Passat, I can't pronounce that one. I would love to read War Storm just to get the series over with. I'm probably not going to though, so I'm not gonna put my hopes into that. There's just a lot. There's Things We Never Got Over, right there. I would like to read that one before the end of the year. Also, Foul Lady Fortune, which is right here. I'm not gonna get it. You kind of see it. I do want to read that one before the end of the year. I need to catch up on all the Chloe Gong books coming out. I just want to own all of them. That's kind of an auto buy author for me right now. If I could automatically buy things, she'd be one of them. And Malibu Rising, I also want to read that one before the end of the summer. So that one's kind of on a shorter timeline, but I do want to read that one before the end of the summer. Perfect summer read. Can't wait to read it. I feel like I could keep talking about all the books that I want to read this year. So I'm not going to, but I think you get the gist. You understand how many books there are that I want to read. That was my June reading wrap up, my little July TBR, which is actually not that little. I'm kind of putting a lot on myself this month. And my mid-year book freakout tag, definitely. Mid-year and freaking out. I can't believe it's already July. That's just insane. I am very proud of how much I've gotten to read this year. and just I'm proud of the books that I have read. I hope everybody else had an amazing reading month for June and is just having a great year so far. And if you would love to answer any of these questions in the comments, I would love to hear your responses to these. They are honestly really fun questions, and whoever created this tag, thank you. It was so much fun to answer all of the questions. Thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe below, and I will hopefully see you all next week. Bye!